This video is about why I think you shouldn't try to list your house and sell it on your own, but instead should use a realtor. Now, I understand you're going to save yourself some money on commission. Doesn't mean you're going to save yourself money all told. So here are a few reasons why it's not a great idea to list your house by yourself. The first one is you can't be objective. It's your home. You live there. You're going to find it more charming or just better than a lot of other houses and possibly misvalue it and maybe think it's possibly worth more than it is, or vice versa. Maybe you're sick of it and it feels old and tired to you. Let a professional tell you if that old carpet really does need to be replaced, or if the wallpaper has to go. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Just remember, you're not going to be able to be too objective. When it comes to setting the price, face it, you don't have any expertise. You also don't have access to many of the resources that realtors have access to in order to be able to compare and intelligently analyze the data in order to come up with the correct price. And price also includes some strategy, some psychology. Let a professional help you. Let's talk about marketing. You don't market homes for sale every day, do you? Realtors do. So whether it's how to get the best pictures, what to include in the copy or not to include, how to release the listing. Should it be coming soon? Should there be just a few pictures at first and then more? How do you contact realtors maybe who sell a lot in your area to let them know ahead of time that your property is going to be up for sale? Or do you let neighbors know ahead of time in case they know someone who wants to move into the neighborhood? There are all kinds of marketing techniques and things that are available to professionals that you probably don't know about nor have access to. Here's one that people don't always think about: safety. When you list your house with a realtor, the only people who are allowed to come see it and make appointments are licensed insured agents. Those people have to make appointments that are logged so you know who's been in your home and when, and you've of course agreed to the appointment. If you list it yourself and you get a phone call, hey, yeah, I want to come see your house at 7:45 Thursday night, how do you feel about that? Something to think about. Let's say you do list the home and you get an offer. That's great. It's greater if you know how to read that offer, how to negotiate that offer. So there's going to be the price, but there are lots of other terms on an offer. There's the settlement date. Maybe the person asked for a seller's assist. Maybe that offer has a mortgage contingency. How do you know how to tell whether the buyer's actually financially qualified to make the purchase? What if it has an escalation clause? What about an inspection contingency? How do you know just sort of how on the hook you're going to be, or what the possible outcomes are if the buyer does an inspection, is dissatisfied with the results? There's a lot to think about when it comes to really understanding all the parts that can be in an offer. So I just mentioned inspections. Let's say you have a buyer, you accept an offer, and the buyer does do inspections and then comes back to you with a very long list of repairs to do or asks for a credit. What do you do? Do you do the repairs? Do you give the credit? Do you do some of each? How do you decide? How do you know how much to offer? How does that whole process work? Well, if you were a professional who did this every day, you would know. It doesn't mean you can't figure something out, and it doesn't mean you can't make your way through. It's just a lot harder, and there are a lot more opportunities for missteps. This brings me to the next point, which is, how do you deal with the what ifs? So what if someone comes back with a long list of things they want you to fix? What if a buyer is late with the second deposit and in default? What does that mean for you? What if the person isn't ready for closing on time? Where does that leave you? That's something you should know. Another important thing is how to estimate your own net proceeds. So the price you get for the house only really matters to you as far as how it fits into your net proceeds. Your net proceeds are the net amount of money that you're going to walk away from the table with after you have made any concessions to the buyer, like a credit for inspections or a seller's assist. But it also includes any fees that you have. You're going to have title fees and transfer tax, and in certain areas, a use and occupancy certificate that's your responsibility. There are fees to the seller that have nothing to do with real estate commission fees. So just because you're not using a realtor, don't think that you are going to have no costs. So you want to be clear on what your estimated net proceeds are. Finally, do you know what you need to do to make sure you stay on track for closing? Do you know what responsibilities you have or who to call to make sure that everything's in order? Some of these things are not necessarily obvious. So you can hire an attorney, which some people do, to handle that. But again, if the idea is to save money and not spend anything on a professional, you might not do that. So this is just a cautionary set of things to think about if you are considering listing your house on your own and not using a realtor. Again, I'm not implying that there's no way for you to have a successful sale. You certainly can. There are, as I said before, just a lot more opportunities for mistakes or getting into areas where you feel out of your depth and aren't sure what you should do, or maybe just completely overlooking things because you didn't know they were there or they were important or they required your attention.